Hello there, it's Sarah from Paper Lovely. Thanks for joining me today. I am back with part 4 of my December daily series, and this is going to be the final video. We're going to get everything attached to this last hinge and then also decorate up the front cover of the book. So I am jumping right in here. I am going to be going a little bit faster in this video with this last hinge because we have done it a bunch of times now. But for my vellum panel, I'm doing this the same as the previous one. It is cut to 7 by 5.5 inches, and then I have scored that at 5 inches, and I'm going to attach that here to my hinge. Now I'm going to use another one of these 6x8 pattern papers that has the sentiment already printed on it. So I have pulled that out, and it's the pink one that reads "Fun in the Snow." I'm going to back that with some of this Christmas tree pattern paper, and I'm going to go ahead and trim this down here. Now, one thing I want to mention is you want to think about which side of the paper you want your hinge to be on. So when I trim this down, it's going to be, let's see, 6 3/4 high and 5.5 inches wide. So because I want to see the sentiment page first, that's going to be on the front side of these two that I'm placing together. I'm going to take a 1/2 inch off of the right hand side, and that's the only cut that I'm going to make because this is 6 inches wide, and then I'm going to score the 1/2 inch on the other side, and that's going to go into my hinge. So keep that in mind if you're trimming around something specific like this. I know it's going to look like it's off-centered at the moment, but once that hinge is put in place, it's going to look centered the way that it's supposed to. So here I've grabbed that tree pattern paper, and I'm going to trim that down to match. And then I had mentioned in one of the previous videos that the very first one I did like this, I put together with score tape, and it gave me a little bit of a bubble. So for this one, I'm going to use my art glitter glue to get these placed together. And I'm just going to put a very light touch with that. I put a lot of it on, but not in blobs, just very thin lines. And I'll go ahead and place that together. Now I'll take that to my scoreboard, and I'm going to score that at a 1/2 inch. And that is a little bit thicker of a fold since I've got my papers doubled up there. I'm going to take that to my hinge, and this time it's going to be on the opposite side. I wanted to get a full 31 days in, and in order to do that for this last hinge, I had to add 2 of my extra pages. So again, making sure that you have your hinge placed the right way. Since this is going to be going on the opposite side of the hinge, it's going to be, my score line is going to be folded the opposite way that it usually is. It's going to be folded towards my panel. So I've laid that out, used my pencil to mark where my V is, and trimmed that out. And now I'm going to add some score tape to the opposite side of my hinge. And I'll peel away the backing and get this page pressed in place also. And now I can work on these last 2 pocket pages. So here for this pretty pink plaid paper on the bottom, I'm going to add a side flip. I pulled in this lighter pink pattern paper, and I've trimmed that to 5.5 by 3.5. And then I'm going to score that at the 1/2 inch mark because I'm going to be folding it in on that edge. The finished size that you're going to actually see is going to be a full 5 inches. I'm going to go ahead and add my score tape to the back, and then I will get my flap pressed in place. Gonna grab my corner chomper and curve those edges. I am using the 1/2 inch side. Then I'm gonna grab my circle punch and I will get some tabs created into both of these. I'm gonna do my tab on the opposite side of the green page. And now I'll get these placed around my hinge. I will add my score tape at the top and the bottom on the short sides, and then along one side of the bottom edge. And of course, I will do the same thing for my bottom pocket page. I'll go ahead and peel away the backing and place that underneath my hinge. And then I'll peel away the backing on the bottom and the opposite side and press that down, sandwiching the hinge in between. And I'll do the same thing for this bottom page. I'll go ahead and slide some inserts into my pockets. And then I want to add another piece of Nina to that first vellum page. So this is 4.5 by 6.5. I'll add some ATG behind that and place that on top of the vellum. I've gone ahead and added in some of my numbers. As I mentioned in the last video, I am starting to run out of them. I have some more on order, so I'll fill in what I can for you here. I've added the 24 on that vellum page. And then on what will be page 22, I've pulled out these Joy chipboard stickers, and I'm going to place that right in the center of my Snowflake pattern paper. I decided for this green pocket page, I want to add some Nina to that. This is again one of those inserts, and I will just add some ATG and place that down on top. Adding my number 26 there. And I can't remember if I mentioned or not, but I did again use those letters to spell out 25 on the back of that vellum page. Here I'm pulling in a few pieces of ephemera. This is the back side of that pink plaid paper. And I'm just going to layer together this pretty glittered star with that yellow cardigan, adding some ATG and pressing those into place. I pulled in another sticker sentiment. This one says catching snowflakes. And then I felt like I needed a little bit more black on that page, so I'm going to go back to those clear stickers and pull in some more snowflakes. And now I'm just working my way back through the book to see if I want to add any more elements here. I did grab some washi tape and added that to the bottom of that craft side of my foil paper. And then I pulled in this December from my chipboard stickers, and I'm going to place that along the vellum pocket. I am going to do a quick flip through here of the book as completed as it is at the moment. And then I plan to pop back in throughout the season, and I will add my photos and memories and share that with you as I do the additional decorating and get all of those things into place. I'm hoping I will have time to do that throughout December. However, I do have quite a few things planned for the Christmas series, so it will all depend on time, and I will eventually do it for you. It just may not show up until January. We will see how things go. So I'm going to finish flipping through here just to give you sort of the full look of the book as it stands at the moment, and then we will get the front cover decorated. This back cover is going to be my day 31. I'm not sure how I'm going to finish this yet. At the moment, I'm thinking I'm going to put in some type of pocket or envelope so that I can store any extra memories that I didn't fit on the earlier pages in there. And then I will probably journal and add a photo on top of that. All right, let's get into decorating the front cover. I have pulled in this beautiful sequin trim that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. I love this. I want it in every color. I currently only have it in the rose gold, but I decided I would use this to tie my book together. So I'm measuring out here, and I'm leaving some leeway so that as the book gets chunkier, I will still be able to tie this into a knot. I don't have a measurement on it for you. I'm sorry, I completely forgot to do that before I got everything put in place. But I'm going to guess it is, well, let's see, 6, 12, and 2 would be 4. I'm going to guess it's roughly 20 to 22 inches. But you should roll whatever ribbon you're using around your book and see what you feel comfortable with. You may want a big bow, whereas I'm only going to tie mine into a knot. So when you cut these edges, they're not perfectly even, and I wanted mine to be even, and I was also worried about some of the sequins falling off. So my answer to that is to create a little hem, and I've added some 1/4 inch score tape, not quite at a 1/2 inch, slightly higher than a 1/2 inch, and then I'm gonna fold that edge over. So it's not perfect, but it does give a cleaner edge than what I had before, and it's gonna stop all those sequins from falling off from the bottom. Again, I'll do the same thing here on this edge, just placing that slightly above the 1/2 inch mark, and then I will roll this up to create a little hem. So now I need to get this actually attached to my cover. So I'm going to be using some 1/2 inch score tape as well as 1/4 inch for this. And the first thing I'm going to do is mark my center on my cover. So I know that this is 8.5 and my center is going to be 4 1/4. I'm just going to make a little pencil mark there. And I will do the same thing just slightly in from the other edge. Same thing on my spine. And then again twice on the back side. And that's going to help me get my tape lined up nice and straight running across. So I'm going to start with my 1/2 inch tape. And I'm going to start about 1/4 of an inch in from the edge. And I'm going to place that down running right on top of that mark. I'm going to do a double layer of this. And then I'm just going to keep this rolling around the edge, again, keeping the bottom line of that tape right above or almost right on top of the pencil line. And I'll stop that about 1/4 of an inch from the edge. I'm going to do the same thing again, going underneath here. And at this point, I've got my spacing marked out, so I'm not worried about the pencil lines or covering them. I'm just going to run this tape right up next to the previous strip. Again, leaving that about 1/4 of an inch at the edge. Now, my ribbon is 2 inches thick, so I didn't want to do exactly 2 inches of tape. I wanted to give just a little bit of extra space for myself on the edge. So I'm going to grab my 1/4 inch tape and I'll do the same thing. I'm going to add 1 row above and 1 row below the other 2 pieces. I'm going to make sure that's down nice and tight. And I'm not pressing really hard on that cover. I don't want to hurt my spine, but I do just want to make sure that's down nice and tight. Now, I thought about opening up the book in order to place this down, but once I did that, I was worried about having to press down on it. I didn't want to hurt any of my hinges or the spine, so I'm going to leave mine folded as I attach this. But I'm only going to peel back about half of that. So I'm going to start on my spine, and I have found the center of my ribbon. I'm going to place that down. Oh, I forgot. I wanted to add in some of these sprigs just to give a little more interest to the spine. So I'm going to place 2 of those down on top of my tape. And now I'm going to find the center of my ribbon, and I will go ahead and press that into place. And then I'm going to run that. Now I am pulling that taut to keep it straight, but I am going slightly looser to press it down. So I don't want the ribbon to pull. And then this back side is super easy. I just line that up with the other one. And there we've got our ribbon attached. So I have gone ahead and got my papers and everything all trimmed out, ready to go here. I've grabbed this tree pattern paper. This is one of my favorites from the collection. And I've trimmed out 2 panels that measure 6 inches across and 8 inches high. That's going to leave just a little border of that white polka dot for you to see around the edges. And again, since this is going to be going over that sequin trim, it's not going to be super even. I want to make sure this is going to stay down nice and tight. So I'm going to create a border of the 1/4 inch score tape all the way around the edges. And then I will add 2 more pieces of that down the center of my panel as well. Here I noticed that my tape didn't go quite to the edge there, so I'm just going to peel that backing away and add a little bit more. I don't want to give this any chance to peel up. I want to make sure it's down nice and tight. I'm going to run my block over all of my tape to make sure that's down nice and tight, and it'll make it easier to peel away the backing. And And then I'm gonna press this in place on my front cover. Now I actually stood up to do this just to help me get a good view. I suggest doing that. It was very helpful trying to keep that border even all the way around. I'm again gonna take that block and run that over the top here. I have placed my hand underneath that cover so I could press down a little bit firmer. And I'm gonna do the same thing with my back panel here. All right, and then I'm gonna tie that just to get the look there of what everything will look like together. I love that ribbon. And now I'm going to add a few pieces of ephemera just to decorate this up, make it feel a little more fancy. So I've pulled these in here, and then I wanted to add this winter sentiment along the bottom. So that's going to be the first thing I get into place. That way I can move everything else if I need to reposition it. I have added some art glitter glue behind there. For some reason, when I peeled this off, a lot of the sticky stayed on that acetate, and I'm not sure if it was just something in the way that it was made, or maybe it's just because I keep it warmer or cooler in here than in my house than it wants to be. But I found that I really needed to add some glue to make sure that that would stay down on my cover. And I use, because this is a different sort of script, I'm just lining up the acetate there because you could see the imprint of it. I wanted to make sure I had my W in the right position and sort of tilted the same way that they had it. Of course, then I added a dot of glue and placed the dot for my eye down as well. So I'm going to add this car, and I want to have this centered over that winter sentiment. So I'm just sort of lining everything up there to make sure I'm happy with that placement. And then I'm going to hold everything in place as best as I can and get a little dot of glue under each of these pieces. And then I'll go back around and fill in under the rest of the edges. I wanted to cover up that Winter Wonderland sentiment. It was just, I thought it looked kind of funny since only half of it was showing. So I grabbed this ticket here and I'm going to tuck that just underneath the tag. And then I'm going to add a little glue to the back of my chipboard as well, just to make sure that stays down nice and tight. And I'll press that into place. Then I decided to add a little bit more of that copper color, so I'm going to add 3 snowflakes. For this larger one, again, I'm going to add some art glitter glue. And then the smaller ones seem to stick okay on their own, so I left those just as they are, and I'll come back and add some glue later if I need to. Finally, I was taking a look at my spine here, and I thought it would be fun to add some of these copper branches as well. So I'm just going to play around with these for a little bit, just sliding those underneath that ribbon. Thought about maybe adding a star or two, but then I thought that was too much. I'm going to leave it just with the branches. I did take this smaller one and move that down to the bottom. I liked that better for some reason. And I'll get those pressed into place. And that is going to complete our album cover. I hope you guys enjoyed this project. I had a lot of fun putting it together, and I'm looking forward to adding in all my memories. I am absolutely in love with this Snowflake collection, so stay tuned. I'm going to have tons more projects using it. As always, I will link to my blog post below where I will have the remainder of the measurements for you, some close-up photographs, and of course my listing and links for you of all of the supplies that I've used today. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. I will do my best to answer them for you. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.